Beloved soul, I don't believe you arrived here by accident. There are no coincidences, especially not this one, not at this precise moment in your life. Something unseen has been gently guiding your steps, aligning time and breath and attention so you would hear this now. Heaven is not rushed, but it is exact. And right now, something is being stirred in the invisible realm on your behalf. Something not yet fully revealed, but already set in motion. You may not have had the words for it, but your spirit has felt the shift. A quiet awareness, a sense that life is standing at the edge of something new. Scripture whispers, "For everything there is a season, and a time for every purpose under heaven." And somehow, without planning it, you found yourself here in this very season. This message is not meant to inform you. It's meant to find you. You are being prepared, not through fear, not through pressure, but through remembrance. Another gentle confirmation echoes, "Surely the Lord does nothing without revealing his secret to his servants." And that secret is not chaos or loss, but clarity that arrives only when the soul is ready to receive it. If this feels personal, it's because it is. You are seen. You are not late. You are not overlooked. You are standing at a threshold, and the reason this resonates is because something within you already knows what is coming, even if the mind has not caught up yet. Stay with this. Let it settle. There is a reason your heart is calm right now. Before we go any further, do something intentional. Activate your faith in a simple, grounded way. Type these 4 words in the comments. I am ready now. Say it openly. When you declare it, you align yourself with what has already been prepared for you. Heaven responds to willingness. The moment you say yes, the door opens. You have lived through a quiet kind of exhaustion, the kind that doesn't always show on the surface, but settles deep in the bones, where unanswered prayers and delayed clarity slowly reshape the way you breathe. You kept going while the world felt unstable, while headlines blurred together, while something inside you whispered that what you were seeing was more than coincidence, more than cycles repeating themselves. You learned to watch without panicking, to stay awake without becoming cynical, to hope without needing to explain yourself to anyone. And though it often felt like nothing was changing, every moment of discernment, every time you chose awareness over avoidance, was being counted. Nothing was wasted. The ancient pattern has always been this way. Truth unfolds in stages, and those who are meant to recognize it are not given dates to cling to, but signs to understand. You were never meant to stand still and stare at the sky waiting for rescue. You were meant to stay alert in the middle of ordinary life, noticing the signals quietly lining up around you. When Jesus spoke privately with his closest followers on the Mount of Olives, away from the noise and spectacle, he didn't feed their curiosity, he trained their perception. He described a world that would feel familiar to you now. Tension without resolution, shaking without collapse, birth pains that come in waves rather than one final moment. That conversation was never just for them. It was preserved for people who would one day sense the nearness of change before it was fully visible. Let that land. You are not imagining the weight of this season. You are responding to it because something in you has been prepared to see it. This is the turning point. Not because everything suddenly becomes clear, but because you realize that the watching itself has been shaping you. The waiting has refined your instincts. The uncertainty has trained your spirit to listen beneath the noise. What you sowed in private vigilance is now meeting a larger movement already unfolding beyond what the eye can measure. Revelation does not rush, but it does arrive with precision, and when it does, it finds those who are already awake. You are closer than you think to understanding why the timing of your life feels so exact right now. Stay with this awareness. What is approaching does not come to shock you, but to confirm what your spirit has sensed all along. You have felt it, even if you never said it out loud, the growing sense that the world has been coming apart at the seams while you've been trying to hold yourself together in quiet faith. You watched confusion multiply, voices grow louder, truth feel harder to recognize, and somewhere along the way you wondered if staying steady was costing you more than it should. There were moments when fear brushed past you, when headlines stirred your chest, when trust felt fragile, and yet you didn't abandon discernment. You learned to resist panic even when the ground seemed unstable, to guard your heart while deception became persuasive, to keep love alive while bitterness spread easily around you. Stay with me for a moment. When Jesus warned that many voices would rise claiming authority they didn't carry, he wasn't trying to frighten his followers. He was protecting them from losing their center. He spoke of wars, unrest, scarcity, shaking ground, not as a countdown to terror but as early contractions, signals that something new was pushing its way into the world. You have lived inside those birth pains. You have endured the disorientation of seeing love grow cold in places where it once felt safe. You have navigated betrayal, division, and spiritual noise without losing your inner compass, even when it would have been easier to harden yourself or turn away. What you did in silence mattered. Every time you chose clarity over confusion, every time you stayed anchored instead of reactive, seeds were being sown in a realm you could not see. Now, listen carefully. The warnings were never meant to trap you in vigilance alone. They were meant to train you to recognize nearness without being deceived by imitation. Just as lightning reveals itself unmistakably across the sky, what is real will not need to be chased, announced, or proven by spectacle. You are learning to tell the difference, and that discernment is not accidental. Even the image of the fig tree was given to teach timing, not fear, to show that those who pay attention will know when a season has shifted without being told the exact day or hour. The anguish described was real, but it was never the final word. It was always followed by gathering, restoration, and the quiet assurance that nothing endured in faith is lost. What you are sensing now is not the end of something you loved, but the threshold of something you were prepared for long before you understood why. The words spoken generations ago have been holding space for this moment, and they are drawing closer to clarity, not collapse. You are not behind. You are not misled. You are standing near the door of understanding, and what comes next will not erase what you survived. It will redeem it. You've seen conflict rise and fall, scarcity touch places that once felt secure, the earth itself groan in ways that feel louder and closer than before. And somewhere inside you there has been a question you didn't dare ask out loud. Why does it feel like everything is intensifying all at once? You are not weak for feeling this. You are perceptive. What you are noticing is not new, but it is sharper, more concentrated, like waves coming closer together before the shoreline finally changes shape. Jesus spoke of these patterns long ago, not as isolated disasters but as a single rhythm, a signal that something unseen was already moving beneath the surface of history. Wars, famine, shaking ground were never meant to be read as random cruelty or signs that hope was collapsing. They were named as the first stirrings of labor. Painful, yes, but purposeful. Let your spirit settle here. You have lived through enough cycles to know that chaos creates opportunity for voices that promise rescue without truth, relief without depth, answers without substance. You've watched confusion exploited, fear marketed, saviors multiplied in every form imaginable, some spiritual, some ideological, some wrapped in charm and certainty, and you learned, often through disappointment, to be cautious with what asks for your allegiance. That discernment did not come cheaply. It was formed in moments when you chose not to be swept away, when you stayed inwardly steady while the noise surged around you. Now listen carefully. The instruction was never to deny the pain of what is happening or to become indifferent to suffering, but to refuse panic as a posture of the soul. These events were described not as the end of life, but as contractions. And contractions mean something is being brought forth, not buried. This reframes everything. The sorrow you witness does not cancel the future. It presses it closer. The intensity you feel does not signal collapse. It signals imminence. You have been learning to hold compassion in one hand and hope in the other, to grieve what is breaking, while quietly trusting that what is forming carries greater weight. What you have sown in patience, in restraint, in not surrendering your clarity during turbulent seasons, has been registered beyond what you can measure. This is why, even when the world feels unsettled, something in you refuses despair. You are not numb. You are not naive. You are anchored to a different horizon. The signs that unsettle many are the same signs that steady you, not because you enjoy hardship, but because you recognize the pattern of birth. And birth always looks violent before it looks beautiful. The invitation here was never to withdraw or to harden yourself, but to stand differently, to remain hopeful without denial, attentive without fear, engaged without being consumed. You are not late to this understanding. You are right on time. What is forming has not finished revealing itself yet, but you are already positioned to recognize it when it does. You've likely felt it without fully naming it. A subtle grief that doesn't come from what's happening out there in the world, but from what's shifting closer to home, in places that once felt familiar, safe, unquestioned. You noticed the strain long before it became visible, the thinning of community, the quiet drifting away of people who once stood beside you, the way conviction began to cost more than comfort. It hurt more than you expected, not because numbers matter, but because love does. And watching it cool in spaces meant to carry warmth left you wondering if you were doing something wrong by staying. Breathe with me. What you are sensing is not failure, and it is not abandonment. It is the second sign unfolding, not in the noise of nations, but within the body itself, where pressure reveals what was planted for permanence and what was only passing through. Jesus spoke of this with unusual clarity, that loyalty would be tested not just by the world's resistance but by the church's refinement, that being chosen would no longer be socially rewarded but quietly costly. You have already been living inside this tension, feeling misunderstood, sidelined, sometimes even opposed for holding a depth that refuses to dilute itself. Your endurance has not gone unnoticed. Every moment you stayed when it would have been easier to blend in, every season you carried faith without applause, seeds were being weighed and found true. This is the turning point. What looks like shrinking is actually concentrating. What feels like loss is making room for clarity. As love cools in many places, what remains burns with a different intensity, not loud, not flashy, but steady enough to travel farther than ever before. The surprise was never that pressure would come, but that a smaller, purified presence would speak with greater reach, that the message would cross every boundary precisely because it was no longer padded for comfort. You may have wondered why gentle reassurances began to ring hollow, why voices promising ease felt misaligned with what your spirit knew to be true. That discernment is part of the process. False comfort thrives when peace is absent, but perseverance grows where truth is honored. You were never called to be liked by a world that doesn't recognize its own home. You were called to endure, and endurance is not passive. It is active faith under weight. The ancient image of wheat and weeds growing together explains the friction you feel now. Maturity intensifies contrast, and nearing harvest always sharpens tension. It is not pleasant to be misunderstood, to feel out of place, to carry a citizenship that doesn't match your surroundings. But this difference is not a flaw, it is a marker. Even Jesus, set apart by love, drew resistance simply by being himself, and those who followed closely felt the same pressure. You are not strange for feeling it now. You are aligned. The discomfort you carry is evidence of belonging elsewhere, and the movement you sense has already begun, quietly, precisely, drawing nearer to revelation. There is a particular heaviness you've carried that doesn't come from headlines alone, but from a deeper knowing that certain places, certain symbols, certain tensions in the world carry more weight than others, and you've felt that weight settle quietly in your spirit without fully understanding why. You sensed that some conflicts are not just political or historical, but spiritual in nature, that geography itself can become a stage for something far larger than human ambition, and that awareness has not brought you comfort so much as a sober alertness you didn't ask for. You've lived with that awareness privately, absorbing it without drama, without shouting alarms, trusting that if it mattered, clarity would come when you were ready to hold it. Hold this gently. Jesus spoke of a moment when pressure would concentrate around the very place meant to represent God's dwelling among people, a distress not spread across the whole earth but focused, deliberate, unmistakable, tied to an ancient warning given through Daniel about a human figure who would elevate his own will above all else and seat himself where reverence belongs. This is not about spectacle or curiosity. It is about recognition, about understanding how far self-exaltation can go before it exposes itself completely. You have already learned to recognize false authority in quieter forms, and that discernment is part of why this does not overwhelm you. What follows this moment, Jesus said, would not unfold slowly or leave room for confusion. Here's the key. The final sign is not something you chase or debate or slowly piece together through arguments. It arrives with such speed and clarity that deception loses its power entirely. Creation itself responds. The familiar lights you've depended on go dim, not to frighten you, but to clear the stage. The prophets spoke of the heavens folding in on themselves, of stars losing their place, of the sky behaving like something temporary rather than eternal. And if that imagery feels unsettling, it's because it is meant to loosen your grip on what you thought was permanent. You have lived long enough to know how quickly trusted structures can fail, how artificial light can replace what once came freely, and that lived experience has been preparing you for this vision more than you realize. When the lights of heaven go out, it is not absence that follows, but arrival, sudden and unmistakable, like lightning that needs no introduction. There will be no competing voices then, no need to evaluate claims or measure sincerity. The gathering does not happen in a place built by human hands, because nothing built here can hold what is coming. You meet him not by striving upward, but by being drawn, and that is enough. The image Jesus gave of standing at a gate, close enough to hear movement on the other side, was not meant to produce anxiety but readiness. You have been cultivating that readiness through endurance, through staying awake without becoming afraid, through holding faith without needing timelines. The fig tree lesson was never about guessing dates, but about recognizing seasons, and you have been learning seasons the hard way. What you sense now is not imagination, it is proximity. The process is already in motion, the signs are aligning with precision, and the clarity you've been waiting for is not far off. There is another layer to what you've been walking through that deserves to be named, because it has shaped you quietly while no one was applauding it. The slow discipline of learning how to live faithfully in the stretch between promise and fulfillment. You have endured long seasons where nothing dramatic happened on the outside, yet everything important was being rearranged within you. Seasons where obedience felt invisible, where restraint felt unrewarded, where staying soft in a hardened world cost you more than you expected. You questioned yourself in the silence, not because you lacked faith, but because growth often feels like loss before it reveals its purpose. This waiting has not been empty. It has been formative. Scripture carries an old story of servants told to stay awake through the night, not knowing when their master would return. Only that readiness itself would be the reward. And those who remained alert were called faithful not because they predicted the hour, but because they guarded their posture. That story has been living itself out in you. Take this in. The vigilance you practiced when no one was watching has trained your spirit to recognize weight without spectacle, truth without urgency, direction without noise. This is why you are not easily shaken now. While others look for signs that entertain or reassure, you have been learning to listen for alignment, for the quiet confirmation that your life is still pointed toward what is true, even when the path narrows. Now, listen carefully. The shift approaching is not asking you to become someone new overnight. It is drawing forward what has already been formed in you under pressure. The seeds you planted in consistency, in choosing integrity over ease, in remaining open when cynicism would have been safer, are beginning to respond to a season that favors growth. You may not see the full shape of what is emerging yet, but you can feel its pull, a subtle repositioning of your desires, a loosening of attachments that once defined you, a strengthening of discernment that feels steadier than excitement ever did. This is how preparation often announces itself, not with clarity all at once, but with readiness before explanation. Even Jesus spoke of oil stored quietly in lamps before the bridegroom arrived, a reserve built in advance, unnoticed until it mattered. You have been building that reserve without naming it. The frustration you felt was not wasted effort, it was compression. The delays were not rejection, they were alignment. You are being trusted with proximity, and proximity requires maturity more than enthusiasm. What is unfolding next will ask less of your striving and more of your availability, less of your certainty and more of your steadiness. This is why the call has felt serious, not heavy, but weighty, as though something sacred is being handled carefully. You are not being rushed, and you are not being left behind. You are being positioned. The movement that has already begun in the unseen is drawing nearer to articulation, and when it does, it will not contradict the path you've been on, it will explain it. Stay grounded in this awareness. The readiness you carry is not accidental. It has been cultivated for this moment, and what is about to be revealed will meet you already awake. As this settles, let the message move gently from understanding into lived space, not as a task to complete, but as an invitation to align with what is already underway. You don't need to add effort or prove devotion. What's been set in motion does not require force, only room. Begin by noticing where your inner life has been crowded by old explanations, familiar fears, or identities you've outgrown without realizing it. And allow yourself to loosen one of them, just enough to breathe differently. You might feel drawn to make a small clearing in your physical world too, nothing dramatic, simply restoring order to a corner that has quietly collected the weight of past seasons, not because cleanliness brings blessing, but because space welcomes arrival. As you move through your days, let your attention soften and sharpen at the same time, aware of patterns that repeat, phrases that return, gentle prompts that don't shout but persist, trusting that readiness often announces itself through familiarity rather than surprise. You are not being asked to rush towards certainty or to manufacture confidence. You are being invited to practice availability, to write down what you sense forming without demanding a timeline, to hold your expectations lightly while staying open to a quiet yes when it presents itself. There is no standard you must meet here, no finish line you need to cross before something can begin. This preparation is not transactional, it is relational, a way of consenting to the direction your life is already leaning. If you miss a day or feel unsure, nothing is lost. If you feel steady one moment and hesitant the next, that is still movement. What matters is presence, the willingness to meet each day with a touch more openness than the last, allowing the unseen work to find expression in ordinary choices and unremarkable moments. The shift does not need you to be perfect or fearless. It simply needs you to be here, attentive, grounded, and gently willing to make room for what is arriving, trusting that alignment is already happening and that your readiness is growing naturally, one small, honest step at a time. What you've felt while listening is real, and it matters. The quiet recognition, the subtle stirring, the sense that something inside you was being named without being exposed. None of that was imagined. It has been acknowledged. What has been spoken here is not drifting away once the sound fades. It has already been received, already arranged, already moving beyond what the eye can trace. You don't need to hold it tightly or manage the outcome. This work does not require control, only trust in its own momentum. If you are still here, still listening, it's because something within you recognized this moment as familiar, as necessary, as yours, not by force, but by resonance. A door has been marked, not slammed shut, and what lies ahead will reveal itself in sequence, with patience, with care. Scripture whispers, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it?" Not as a demand, but as a quiet assurance that beginnings often unfold before they are understood. This is not an ending. It is a threshold. You are stepping into a season that will clarify itself as you walk it, layer by layer, without urgency. Carry this gently with you. Let it breathe. There is nothing you need to chase. What is meant to meet you knows exactly where you are. Stay open, stay grounded, and go in peace. If you've been waiting for clarity, this is it, not as information, but as permission to stop bracing and start trusting. Let us enter this moment of prayer gently, allowing our hearts to settle into the presence that has been with us all along. Eternal God, source of light and keeper of times and seasons, we come not in fear or urgency, but in reverence and trust, grateful for the quiet way you have led us even when we did not recognize your hand. Thank you for the unseen work you have already begun, for the paths aligned before we were aware we were walking them, for the faithfulness you cultivated in us during seasons that felt ordinary, silent, or heavy. You saw the seeds planted in patience, in restraint, in love that chose to remain open when closing would have been easier. And we thank you that nothing offered in sincerity is ever lost to you. We honor you for being near in confusion, steady in uncertainty, and faithful beyond our understanding. And we rest in the truth that what is unfolding now has not surprised you. Grant us peace that does not depend on circumstances, clarity that does not rush ahead of your timing, and readiness that comes from trust rather than striving. As it is written, you are the one who makes everything beautiful in its time, and we receive that promise not as an expectation to control, but as an assurance to rest within. Strengthen our discernment so we may walk wisely without suspicion, courageously without force, and faithfully without needing applause. Teach our hearts to recognize your voice amid many voices, to follow without fear when the way becomes clearer, and to remain grounded when answers come slowly. We offer you our hopes without demand, our questions without resistance, and our future without conditions, believing that you who began this good work are faithful to carry it forward beyond what we can see. Cover each listener with a calm assurance that they are not late, not overlooked, not alone, and that this season of transition is held securely within your care. Let our lives become quiet witnesses of trust, our days marked by presence, our steps guided by peace, as we continue forward with you, one moment at a time. We place all of this into your keeping, confident not in our strength but in your faithfulness, and we remain open to what you will reveal next. Thank you for praying in this sacred space, for lending your breath and your attention to this moment. You are not walking this path alone, and you are held as you continue forward. May peace stay with you as you go. As you remain here, if there is something resting on your heart that has not yet found words, you are gently invited to let it breathe. You may choose to write it in the comments, not to explain yourself or to be fixed, but simply to be seen. Whatever you carry, a hope you barely dare to name, a sorrow you've learned to hide, a question that keeps returning, or a fear you've never spoken aloud, bring it as it is. God already knows, and he receives honesty with tenderness. No prayer offered in sincerity is ever overlooked, and no tear shared in truth falls unnoticed. When you write, you are not exposing weakness. You are creating space for grace to move. You are not alone here. You are held, guided, and met in love, even now.